Today we're talking about droughts, how climate change affects it, and my personal favorite, how the WWF has been helping communities in vulnerable areas to better prepare themselves for droughts. So, a drought occurs when there is a lack of rain over an extended period of time, lasting months or even longer. The impacts of droughts are mainly due to a lack of water. It ends up affecting things like agriculture and certain things that I didn't know were affected, which I'll get into later in the video. Climate change is affecting droughts, but how so? Let's get into it. Because of the warmer temperatures, there ends up being more evaporation at a faster rate. This will end up drying out the land and the vegetation, leading to longer dry spells and more severe droughts. Warmer winters also means that there will be less snowfall. And snowfall is needed to create a snowpack. That's basically the snow that weighs itself down and turns into ice, which then melts later in spring. That spring water is very necessary for a whole variety of ecosystems. And if that's reduced, then it affects everything within the ecosystem. It's also about when we get the water. Climate change alters the timing of the water availability, which in turn affects agriculture. Drought is a global issue faced by everyone. And in the last 5 years, extreme dry shocks, which are a significant period of low rainfall, have increased by almost 233%. And unfortunately, this impact is especially severe in the poorer countries like Somalia, Uganda, and northern parts of Kenya, where a lack of water can completely devastate communities. That fact honestly scared me when the first time I read it, and that's why I want to help educate you guys. On the other hand, even the wealthier countries in places like Europe that traditionally have more rainfall are experiencing more extreme droughts. In 2022, parts of Eastern Africa faced their worst drought in a 60-year period. And that drought threatened millions of people with starvation. Drought can affect many aspects of our lives. Obviously, agriculture. In 2012, 71% of the US declared drought as a natural disaster, as did other parts of the world, and this massively drove up food prices in that year. Our own health is at risk due to the smoke and poor air quality that comes with wildfires, but also our drinking water is at risk as well. Because of the lower levels of water in our water systems, the pollutants actually increase in concentration, which affects our drinking water and any clean water that we may use. Different forms of transport are also affected. With ships, there may be lower water levels, and the bigger ships, the commerce ships, can't go anywhere. Flights may be grounded due to the wildfires, the smoke produced by them, as well as cars. You may not be able to drive anywhere because it's too dangerous to drive through the smoke and through the fires. Even the energy sector is affected. Because of the increase in cooling that is required, there is an energy spike, and so the demand sharply rises, but the supply cannot meet that standard. In some cases, water is needed to cool down the plants that are providing the energy, and obviously, because there's a lack of water, they have to wait to cool themselves down. In hydroelectric plants, there may not be enough water in the dams because there just isn't enough water in the reservoirs to fill them up. And so that also cuts down the supply. Dry shocks are becoming more frequent, and projections show that if we don't take this challenge on, it's only going to get worse from here. But there is always hope. One way is by conserving and managing our water sources better. Another is by preserving our green water. This means protecting landscapes such as forests that naturally retain water, which then builds resilience to droughts and can significantly reduce the impact of the drought. On a broader scale, countries need to invest in their infrastructure for things like rainwater harvesting, desalination, and water reuse, just like the WWF have done in small communities around Africa. In Zimbabwe, Kenya, and Namibia, the WWF helped install rainwater harvesting systems that now provides those communities with clean water for drinking, to clean themselves, and for horticulture. And with an increase in horticulture, this builds up that community's resilience to drought. In Zimbabwe, the WWF dug 3 boreholes for separate communities. One of them was 120 meters deep, and because of that, they had to use solar panels to actually pump the water up to the land. I will leave you with a quote from one of the locals that was helped in Zimbabwe by the Halo Trust, who also dug up some boreholes for local communities. She says, "Before, we always had to walk at least 3 kilometers for water. The new boreholes are 400 meters from my house. I can now leave my pot on the fire whilst I go fetch water and not worry about it getting burnt. I love it. The borehole is a beautiful dream come true." I don't know about you, but that quote gave me goosebumps. The fact that people are being helped so much, it is literally their dreams coming true. Wow. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on how you think drought is affecting you or your community slash country. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to my videos. I'll see you in the next one.